Yeah, you have to remind me to record it, mate, for Facebook, for YouTube. Apologies, YouTube people. We're talking about St. Helens.
I thought you were. I
Apologies
got a
for that.
message on my phone saying you were recording it.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. Anyway, there you go. But no, you're spot on. You're spot on, mate. It would have destroyed many a team, and interesting as well. It was in the I think it was in League Express where they were talking about James Roby. James Roby went on just after that try by all accounts, and he just said to the team, "Look, calm down, we've got this." Yeah. You know, Roby's had a phenomenal time over in Australia, hasn't he? He's really led from the front.
Yeah, he has. I mean, people keep going on about his age. Age isn't a barrier with that fella. He's a rugby league machine. You know, I think he has stated this is his last season, hasn't
he? He has said that. Yeah, he has said that.
I still wouldn't be surprised if maybe not at Saints if he maybe drops down a division and carries on for another.
No, mate. That'll never happen.
I said I wouldn't be surprised.
No, it won't happen, mate. Won't happen. I'd say if I'm a Saints fan, I'm really concerned. The amount of exposure Jack Welsby's been given over there. If I'm Saints, I mean, you look at the Brodie Croft deal at Salford.
Yeah.
No doubt the NRL clubs will have noticed Jack Welsby. If Saints will keep Welsby, they've got to put some pound notes under his nose.
They were sniffing around him before the World Club Challenge. I would be tempted to do a Salford and sign down to a long-term deal.
I'm delighted for Lewis Dodd.
Yeah.
After last season. You know, and he you know, at his age as well. I mean, dear me, what a future that kid's got! Incredible. He
doesn't have to remind me of Tommy Martin. He really
does. Yeah. Shades off.
In looks and in the way he plays.
Yeah.
He's come back well, and let's hope he stays injury free. I mean, Saturday. I know we're going to look at the Hull KR Wigan game, but Saturday, if Carlsberg did Saturdays for Saints fans, Saturday was the day.
Absolutely, yeah, no, 100%. Just thought we put a little photo up of Saints enjoying their moment of glory, and rightly so, deservedly so. But yeah, you're right. I mean, perfect for Saints. Going win the World Club Challenge and then CKR not Wigan about. Outstanding, great stuff. Good evening to David Wright. Is that the David Wright of Fantasy League? Well, let us know, David. We'll come into that in a minute. David Pye also was Andy and Sue. Andy and Sue up at Castleford. They were delighted for St. Helens, saying the defence was superb. They're all coming in, which is fantastic. Keep the comments coming.
Yeah,
your thoughts are as we go through the show. But no, credit where credit is due for St. Helens. As we said when Martin was here last week, could that just be the thing that makes the Aussies want a tour this year? Sorry.
I hope so. I really do hope so. And I want them to do a tour where they play the Super League teams as well. Those were great games back in the day when Great Britain went over there with two teams and the Aussies came over here with two teams, and the midweek team played the Super League or the top flight teams, and then they had the test team against Great Britain. I really do. It'd be great to get an Aussie team down at Halliwell Jones and at Wigan and Saints and at Hull and Castleford just to play against our teams. There'd be great occasions, I think, and they've not happened for so long. I hope it really is a catalyst for making them want to come over and tour.
Well, Graham Parrish there said that, they set an incredible standard of Saints for other Super League clubs. And, to go down there and do it in their backyard was phenomenal. We'll talk about what that might have took out the tank for Castleford game later when we review that game. Of course, they travel to Castleford on Sunday, live on Channel 4. I know that Andy and Sue already have said that there's no better time to play Saints. And also little rumours that they might actually put a few of the kids into that game.
Well, Makinson out. Makinson's out, isn't
Makinson's out with concussion.
I mean, to be fair to Saints, Makinson going, he's a big player. And he lost
I thought,
that game.
When he went off with that head injury, fair play. I mean, we're massive fans of Tommy Makinson, and no matter what was thrown at St. Helens on Saturday morning, they coped with it. It was a tremendous performance.
Did you notice Christian Wolf in the box with Wellens as well?
Yeah, I did, which was a nice touch. Yeah. It was a nice touch. Let's be controversial for a minute. How much input did he have in that box? Question mark. Controversial. But no, I mean, look, and I think Gary Schofield mentioned it in his column in League Express today. Top that, Paul Wellens. Your first game in charge is a World Club Championship in Penrith's backyard. I mean, it's like. Yeah. And again, and then there's also reports Alex Walmsley was ready to retire which was just like bizarre. I mean, obviously caught up in the emotion, but dear
I
me.
mean, Big Alex, he was in tears at the end of it, wasn't
Yeah.
he? The emotion. And when you think of the weather as well, I
I
mean,
think that suited Saints though.
the game could
Yeah.
quite have been called off. Didn't he delay this
Yeah.
half kickoff?
Yeah,
With
I
the
think
lining around the ground.
that suited Saints. That
It did. Well,
absolutely suited Saints.
there was a flash of lightning halfway through the first half, and the whole crowd went, "Ooh!"
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, mate, some of it was good. But anyway, look, we're rugby league. We're rugby league fans. We're British rugby league fans. Well done to St. Helens. Congratulations on what was a sensational performance. And I actually put a couple of quid on you Saturday morning because, believe it or not, Betfred were offering 25-1 before that game kicked off to St. Helens, and I thought I'd have a bit of that. So thank you, St. Helens. You'll do for me.
See, I didn't. If I'd put a couple of quid on, it'd have been 16 at half time to spend.
Well, there you go.
Saints fans, you got me to thank for not putting money on it.
Well, Gregory, we've got Baz Graham with us, Greg. Baz Graham, Sir Barry Graham is on the line. Good to see you, Baz. Gary Whaley, and Baz, don't forget, we're having a beer this year. Gary Whaley, an old school friend of mine, has just joined as well. Great to have you as well, Mr. Whaley. Right, Tompkins. We put a little poll on the Super League fans forum earlier today, a little cheeky one. Sam Tompkins saying he's never going to retire from International Rugby League, and we put a little cheeky poll on. Should he be anywhere near an England/Great Britain squad? 62% of you said no. A cheeky fan added, if he's currently the best, he should play. Question is, will he be? You know, you've got the likes of Wellesby now, who's for me has to be first choice at fullback. We've got quality halfbacks, Lewis Dodd, Lomax, Williams on his day. You know, what we don't want is people being played out of position to accommodate players. And for me, I'm sorry, as good as Sam Tompkins has been during his career, I'm in that 62% category. I actually think now we need to move on. But however, if Sean Wayne does remain as manager, there's a really good chance in a Mickey McAlorum kind of way that Tompkins will stay sniffing around the squad, Greg.
I have to. I'm afraid I have to agree with you. And you know, we've been renowned for playing players out of position to accommodate certain players.
Yeah.
You know, Tompkins, no, I think it's time to put him out to grass as far as international rugby is concerned. Wellesby is more than an adequate replacement.
More for, mate, he's not a replacement. He's head and shoulders, mate. He's head and shoulders. Exactly. Gary Whaley, mate, he's in agreement with you. Gazzy's already in on the chat. Angela Hughes, good evening to you as well. You're getting a lot of thumbs up there, mate, as you were talking. So that's happy days, isn't
it? That's the first.
Yeah. Quickly, we're just going through a few news stories before we get into some action. Salford continuing their retention drive. Burgess now signed up. So that's Burgess, Ackers, Almond Royd, Brodie Croft. I'm probably missing somebody.
I don't think. Yeah, I think there's four.
Is that the lot?
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few more signed up.
Oh no, Lafay as well.
Of course, yeah.
So you know, credit to Salford. You know, they haven't got a lot of resources there, but what they are doing is they're retaining the top talent, and I think that's real credit to them.
I think that's a statement that players are quite happy with the direction Salford are going in. You know, so I felt sorry for Salford over the last few years. They've brought talent through and they've sold them off to other teams, or they've gone to other teams to various degrees of success. You know, I think in Jackson Hastings, for one, I'm really glad they've tied down for Salford fans. I'm really glad they've tied down the likes of Brodie Croft because it means if he does get taken by another team, they're going to have to pay a transfer fee for him.
Absolutely.
And
you'd expect if it's early in his contract, that's going to be hefty.
Yeah, and it's clever. It's clever business.
Yeah,
Brodie Croft must be happy there. The players must be happy there. If we could get, come on, Salford fans, we were saying this last year. Get that ground full. Fill it.
They need more.
I think they took about 5,000 to Lee.
Brilliant, mate. But that's Salford, don't it? I mean, the hardcore. I mean, you know, the fans that go and watch Salford, the hardcore, the home and away fans. What they need to do is attract more home supporters, people who are not willing to go and travel to Castleford on a Sunday afternoon, but are quite happy to go 10 miles down the road.
I think they need to. I think that the ground is a real issue in that, and I think they need to get that sorted.
Well, again, mate, they're staying at the AJ Bell. Yeah. They're not moving, which, you know, when you're considering the licensing that's coming
Phil Clark called Salford fans the loudest in Super League.
Yeah, well, Well, who am I to argue? I mean, I've heard them firsthand. They're a lively bunch. They're a lively bunch. We'll talk as we go through the show tonight around spines. We spoke before we come on air. You know, we've been saying throughout as we've been reviewing the squads in the first three weeks. You know, spines this year are going to be important, and without question, already I think the mark has been laid down. You know, the Warrington spine looked very, very good. Hull's spine looked good. In defeat, Castleford looked good. In defeat, Wakefield, I know Max Jowett on the score sheet for Wakey. You know, Kieran, who's not even he's a utility player, went in at standoff. You know, Arthur Morg was in there. You know, they're the understudies for all intents and purposes, played well. Abdul, Mickey Lewis, you know, throughout the league, the spines this week really did play well.
I thought Jordan Abdul was superb.
Yeah, really Marshall well.
Superb. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's probably the halfback performance of the weekend. Abdul.
Yes, yeah. Abdul played really, really well. I won't bestow that on him, but I think he played.
So,
but it's all about opinions, mate.
Opinions.
It's opinions. You know, but yeah, he was good. Abdul did what Abdul does. Really, really good. Fantastic stuff. Right. Okay. Look, we've got lots to do. We've got to look at all the highlights from round number one. We've got to do the predictions. We're back to normal, guys. So there's going to be a few little musical interludes along the way.
And back to normal. I'm bottom of the pile on predictions.
We'll get to it, sir. We'll get to
Nothing changing.
But first things first. New for this year, Super League Raw Fans Forum Mini League on the official Super League Fantasy League. We have now got 40 teams. I'll say it again, 40 teams in our league. And congratulations, we sent it out earlier on the Fans Forum. Congratulations to John Mason, Reg Allen, Matthew Kate, and David Wright, who have made the early running on the Fantasy League. There's our PIN number. There's our password. Join it. Let's see how many of our Fans Forum we can actually get on our Fantasy League. And maybe, just maybe, as the season closes, we might get a little prize for the winners at the end of this season. But yeah, the Fans Forum up and alive. Get involved. Right, Greg, before we get into the action, should we take a look at the top performance from round number one?
I think we should, yes.
I think we should as well. Here we go. The top performance from round number one. Oh, he says. Oh, what happened there? The top performers from round number one, some noticeable performances there. Fantastic to have the top performers back, and of course we'll review all the action now. We do put a call out every year for fans to join us, and I'm glad to say that we did invite well, we've invited a lot of people along the way, but Ian Judson is a Hull FC fan. And there he is. And Ian agreed at the start of the season that he'd come on the show. We've had Joel Scholes, we've had Martin Sadler. There's some big names on the way as well in the world of rugby league that are going to be joining us throughout the season. But Ian's put his hand up. He's a Hull FC. I think you are a Hull FC fan, Ian, yeah?
Correct, yes.
Correct. And Ian does a bit of journalism up in the northeast. So Ian, we've now got to the part of the show where we're going to start looking at the highlight reel from the week that has just gone. So we'll get your input, especially when we get to Hull FC. But great to have you along. Just very quickly before we go into that, what's your overall view been of round one? It's been pretty good, hasn't it?
It's been a bit dramatic, hasn't it? Certainly, obviously the game on Sunday was well, we're used to it at Hull FC, really, getting a big lead and then nearly letting it go. But yeah, I was really encouraged by the massive crowds that we've got. I think that, I think that we've got right through Super League. I think Hull's was the biggest in round one, I believe, 15,383.
Yeah.
But I think obviously the thing with St Helens, obviously winning the World Club Championship, I think that certainly helped it brought more people in, I think, because people are suddenly, right, we've got world champions in this country, and I think that's certainly made a difference to some of the attendances. I know over here in the divided city of Hull, or I'm just on the outskirts of it anyway, certainly Rovers, they'd sold out before the season, before the day. Hull, I think at one point there was a possible thought that they might have opened the West Upper, which doesn't happen very often. It happens on Derby match day and not much more. But I think there was a conversation had possibly that there was a feeling that they might have needed to open West Upper. They didn't in the end, but I think it's just really positive for the game that we've got such massive crowds.
That must be encouraging for you as a Hull fan. That you got a crowd on the opening day as big as that, and that bodes well for the rest of the season.
And OKR got in 10 as well, over 10. So, yeah, no, good times. Well, let's get straight into some action, Ian. We'll ask for opinion along the way, so stay with us. Happy days.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Let's get straight into it, shall we?
I'll tell you now that I've got my rugby league journalism head on rather than just the Hull FC supporter in me.
Well, that's very good. Exactly what we do. Right, so we kick off. We kick off with the Warrington Wolves against Leeds, and it's fair to say, Greg, as a Warrington fan, never in our wildest dreams did we expect this. Warrington, unbelievable on the night.
Yeah, I had to check what I was drinking at half time. In fact, I thought I was in the wrong stadium at one point. That first half, absolutely incredible. Second half, not as intense, but we had to rejuggle the team a little bit because of injuries and whatever. But yeah, we couldn't have got off to a better start. If you're a Leeds fan, you got to be encouraged by the fact that it's a usual slow start from Leeds, and they'll be there or thereabouts at the end.
Well, even though I think Leeds have called it pretty straight, I don't personally believe. And look, it's round one, nothing's won in February, but I don't think Warrington have got as much credit as they deserve for that performance, especially the first half. 70% possession in a rugby league game, 100% completion. When you consider the season that they had last year, to go and do this, to the team finished runners up, it was just unbelievable. Nobody could have expected this.
No. And I think Leeds had the ball in our half, with ball in hand in our half twice in that first half.
Yeah.
Which is an incredible statistic.
Pleased for Daz Clark. We saw Daz Clark there getting his try, but also setting up Fewless on the wing via Matautia. Yeah. This was a lovely bit of skill from Danny Walker.
Oh, it's a beautiful try. I thought he was actually over the line from where I was standing, but great try. I'm surprised it didn't go to the screen, I must admit.
Yeah. No, it was when it comes off, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, the curve on the ball as well. Very George Williams that. Williams was doing that at Cambridge, so has he learned that in training?
Maybe,
I don't know, but very George Williams like. But no, all in all, I mean,
I got to say, Cassiano was about 5 yards offside there for that one,
mate. But he was unlucky. He was unlucky about a minute before. Paul Vaughan. I've been saying it ever since he signed for Warrington. This is Warrington's Alex Walmsley, absolutely world class NRL player, and he showed it in this. What as a non-Warrington fan, Ian, Paul Vaughan, what was your thoughts?
Paul Vaughan, I thought, was an absolute machine to be on for as long as he was, playing down the middle, and his contact meters after contact was ridiculous, wasn't it? Yeah. And I think,
over 130.
he is just he was outstanding on the night for Warrington. You couldn't have a bad word about him. It was just, and you could see that they missed him a bit when he went off, and then he came back on, didn't he? And I think, I think that's the measure of a player when you can see how the team misses them. And Warrington did miss him when he went off.
Sorry, but what do you think that in the NRL, I think he was 4th or 5th in meters after contact.
He was.
So,
it's his game, Greg.
Yeah,
it's his game.
Yeah.
That's his game, and I think Warrington last year, without doubt, size, some lovely tries there. I mean, we didn't really comment too much on the Dufty one. Beautiful short pass from Williams. Loved Curry's line for that. The way that he opened it up for Dufty to come in on his inside, beautiful. Yeah. Really good signs for Warrington after what was a shocking season last season, and they've addressed the pack situation. Dudson's still to come back. Maguire's still to come back. Philbin still to come back. Down the middle, Warrington are going to be incredibly strong, and the edges look good. It's round one.
What I would say about Warrington on Thursday night was they looked like a Daryl Powell side. Last season, you didn't get that. I went and reported on Hull losing 4-0 at Warrington last year, and I thought, this isn't a Daryl Powell team. And now that he's got his own personnel in, he looks like, Warrington has started like Castleford started 2017, haven't they? So,
that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Yeah.
No, you're right. Look, games are, nothing's won in February. However, Warrington, look, we could wax lyrical over that all night. It was as a round one performance goes. Any team, I mean, we'll get to your team in a minute, Ian. If Hull had carried on as they started in that game, we might be talking about Hull in equally as high measure. But of course, we know what happened in the second half. We'll get to that later. Let's just turn our attention to Leeds for a moment. If you're a Leeds fan, I went onto Twitter after the game, and the Leeds fans were absolutely livid. Hardacre, Liam Sutcliffe, Brad Dwyer. 3 players there that they've allowed to go, and it's fair to say 2 of them at the weekend, Sutcliffe and Dwyer, really showed how good they actually are. And he's replaced them with Nene McDonald, who of course didn't play at the weekend. He's brought him in at the centre. They're going to give young O'Connor a shot at hooker. As good as Leeds were under Rowan Smith at the second half of last season, Leeds fans seems to be quite concerned, it would appear. And it's only one game in, and we've got to be mindful of that. It's one game in. The centre pairing wasn't there, and centres are, when we're talking about the likes of Harry Newman, who's a quality player, they had no Oledzki, they had no Bentley, so there was good players that were missing, but that was just, Warrington. Warrington, if I may, Ian, Warrington were that good. I mean, look, and I'm not saying this as a Warrington fan. I bet you'll say about Hull against Cass in the first half. Warrington were that good in the first half that I think they didn't get the credit that they deserve. That said, Leeds, dearie me. I mean, we'll get to predictions later, but Hull must be delighted to be going to Headingley this weekend.
There's certainly quite a bit of excitement about that game this week, certainly around these parts where, we've not got a bad record at Headingley in recent years. And of course, there's a very strict desire for atonement after what Leeds did to us at the MKM Stadium last season, and I think looking at that Leeds performance, if you can actually call it that, on Thursday night, you'd bet your mortgage on Hull to win there and to win very comfortably.
I bet your mortgage, Ian. I'm not betting mine.
You get your hands off my mortgage. It's nearly paid up.
Have you seen our predictions over the last couple of years? Dear me.
Having said that, guys, I think we were here last season with Leeds, and that we know what happens to Agar. We seem to be here every season with Leeds, and somehow they make the top 6, and they're there or thereabouts when it comes to grand final. So, if I were Leeds fans, the time to worry is July, August. If they're still playing as badly and they're still nowhere near the 6, it seems to be. This repeats itself almost every year with Leeds. Start slowly.
Yeah, this is the thing with Leeds. You're never really quite sure, are you? You know, they can look absolutely dreadful. You know, I remember us going there in 2016. We were absolutely like a house on fire at the time, and Leeds were playing dreadfully. And we went there and we expected to win and win easily, and we got beat. I think Jamie Jones Buchanan maybe scored a late try and they beat us, and they deserved to. Having said that, I mean, like I say, in recent years, the record at Headingley hasn't been that bad. You know, I remember a 30 points to 4 shellacking that we handed to them, etc. You know, so I think that's part of the thing for Hull as well. That I think part of the that part of the psychological problem of going to Headingley has now gone for Hull. And, you know, frankly, yeah, I think Hull will win on Friday night. And
we'll get to that. We're not doing predictions just yet.
You know,
we're not doing predictions just yet, Ian. But no. But
I'll go with you. I might not be bottom by the end of the next week.
Well, I mean, look. Hull. All I would say about Leeds is I'm not convinced on Foster too. I keep saying this. I weren't convinced of him last year. He didn't pull up any trees again on Friday. You know, unproven Nene McDonald coming in there at Super League level. They've lost some big players, of course, Matt Pryor as well. Let's see what happens at the weekend. Anyway, we've got lots to get through, so let's get back into the action. And of course, game number 2 that we're here to review now. So here we go. Oh, there we are. We're off and running. Lee Leopards, well done to Derek Bowman. What a spectacle beforehand, and it started so well. This was a lovely path from Lachlan Lamb.
That's superb.
Wasn't it? Beautiful.
Yeah.
And Charlie looked like he had a bit of pace, Greg.
Charlie looks like he's lost a hell of a lot of weight.
Yeah, he looked lean again, didn't he? He looked quick.
Yeah, he looked lean, he looked quick. Fair play to him. Fair play to him. He left under a cloud, but, you know, I quite like Josh Charlie. I even quite liked him when he was at Wigan. Don't tell anybody that.
I wasn't keen on him when he was at Hull KR. He was on loan at Hull KR.
That's going back a few years, but
2010.
that Salford kit.
Yeah, lovely, mate.
I thought
it looked like it Bradford. Yeah, it does look like Bradford. This man, Watkins, second row. He's he started where he left off, hasn't he? Tell you what, let's throw a little grenade in. How on earth did Brodie Croft get 3 Man of Steel points for this game? How on earth did that happen? Ryan Braley was head and shoulders man of the match.
Yeah.
Head and shoulders. He scores the try and he does 2 worldy tackles to stop 2 tries.
Yeah.
And what planet got Brodie Croft man of Steel 3 points?
As Martin Sadler said last week, it's the glamour boys that get the points.
Yeah.
Mate,
to be fair, Ryan Brierley is a glamour boy, isn't he?
Yeah, not as glamorous as Brodie Croft.
Well, it's coming here now. I mean, this was lovely, absolutely lovely, great try. Fair play to Croft. Flat bang, have a bit of that. And we saw this time and time again last year. Brierley, superb, absolutely superb on the night.
And I genuinely, as you know, thought Lee might have won this game. I thought they pushed a lot of very good teams very close on when they were last in the Super League, and I thought first game of the season, home crowd spurred on. I did fancy them for the win. What do I?
Let's not lose sight of the fact, mate. This is a top 6 side from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, here we go. Look at this. I mean, I think Charlie will be disappointed he didn't go back outside.
He should have done. He should have done.
But that from Brierley, outstanding. And then he does it again with Lachlan Lamb.
Yeah.
And you're just like, how does he not get man of the match across the board? I mean, absolutely.
I don't know.
It frustrates me. I mean, fair play to the Albert Goldthorpe. They put him as 3 points, and rightly so. But that Man of Steel panel, dear me, come on.
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, as he said before we started, I was half surprised that Tompkins wasn't on the list.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the next one. I mean, it's the next one. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that's 2 try-saving tackles. The score's 18-4 at that point. Any of those 2 go in, it's game on.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time left. It's only 58 minutes on the clock.
Yeah. I agree.
You
with
know,
you.
and it's just like,
Yeah.
it's just frightening, absolutely frightening.
The thing is with Brierley, yeah, he's still learning his trade a bit about being a last line of defence. Don't forget, he started as a scrum half in the game, didn't he? And
He did.
you know, he's come to full back later on, and look at how well he's doing at it now.
Yeah. Well,
you know, I said for a while he was a fullback because it was a strike player, and it's a strike position, you know, rather than a halfback. But
yeah,
you know, he's come to it, and you know, he's got his old boss with him back at Salford now, hasn't he? So you know, long may that continue.
Yeah. I mean, I know he was up before the panel. How did he not get a ban for that?
Well, I don't know.
How does he not? How does he not get at least a couple of games for that? I mean, he's Teflon, that guy, by the looks of it.
Well, I'll tell. Well, I mean, look. In closing, it Salford 20 points to 10. I think they'll be mightily relieved. That was a tough assignment going to Lee with all that razzmatazz. You know, well done to Derek Beaumont. I thought, you know, what we saw on the TV, really good for the game. You know, and do you know what, Lee? I think Lee will be all right over the course of the season. I really do. You know, we mustn't forget that Salford were a top 6 side last year. And providing that they were as fortunate with injuries again this year, potentially we're going to be another top 6 side this year. The key to Salford's season is keeping that spine fit and not having a large injury list. But some lovely tries there. Really, really good to see. Right, we move on. We move on now to the next game, which happens to be, it's Wigan, isn't it? No, it's Wakefield. Wakefield against Catalan. And of course, Tom Johnson returning to Wakey. Lovely try this by Max Jowett. We like Max Jowett at Super League Raw. Took that well, Greg, didn't he?
He's a really underrated fullback, Max Jowett.
Yeah. Took it really well.
Yeah, a good player. He's got a safe pair of hands. Good under the high ball. From what
he's the sort of player that they need to build a team around, is Max Jowett, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely.
This is I'm not sure about that one.
Well, the thing is, I mean, both Davis and John, I mean, this is a lovely try. This is beautiful. I mean, Kieran here, you know, playing at standoff, lovely little grubber through. This took some scoring. It really did. I mean, that's a great try. And, Johnson, we said, you know, as we were previewing the squad, the likes of Johnson, who were allowed to go to Wakefield, was gonna make them weaker. And Johnson has come back to bite him here, hasn't
he? Yeah, that looks nasty when his knees hit the floor. I mean, that pitch, people are commenting on the pitch.
Yeah, McNamara wasn't happy with it, was he? He said
he's cut them to ribbons.
Yeah. The same was said of Widnes, though. If you remember Widnes back in the day when Widnes went to a 3G pitch, exactly the same thing was said there. Maybe it just needs a bit of bedding in. But this was a good try. Now, a lot of Wakey fans said that they thought he lost this one, but by God, he climbed well.
He did. He's almost Toby King-esque the way he went up like a salmon for that one.
Toby King-esque. Well, don't talk about Toby King.
I said that with tongue firmly in cheek there.
Yeah, the Wigan fans were not impressed. We actually had Toby King as a question.
I would point out Matt Heffernan were under a high ball, but that might hurt you guys after Wembley in 2016.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that, Ian. We don't talk about that.
Wiped from the memory banks, that one.
Absolutely not. But no.
Not around these parts.
but again, this was a competitive game. You know, Wakey didn't roll over and have the belly tickle. This was nice from Lino. You know, back inside to Ashurst. Matty Ashurst, we said, had a good season last year. Good pro. You know, it was good to see Wakey, you know, putting up a little bit of a fight at that point. You know, it's 20 points to 18 at this point, and then bang, 2 Tom Davis tries. You know, Davis, not Fuad Jahar, always been potent. Now, of course, they've got Johnson on the edge as well.
Yeah, Catalan, 2 good wingers, 2 very, very good wingers. If Johnson can stay fit, 2 very good strike players from who can strike from distance.
Absolutely, mate. You know, really pleased for Tom Johnson. Of course, Wakey fans will be absolutely devastated in terms of what happened. But no, I mean, you know, this was a difficult fixture for Catalan. A couple of players pulled out just before the game. I think Takiako was one of them, the new forward. You know,
this is a nicely worked try.
Was Gaskell
burst through?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Gaskell, he took that well, mate.
Wakefield have got it in them. They've got it in them to give somebody a good hiding. If they can get passes to Stake and You know, they've got the right people in the right positions on the pitch. You know, they've got it in them to go and, you know, to stick it to somebody.
Wakefield have always had it in them. It's just
they did that last year.
Yeah, they can't string it together with a sequence of wins. They tend to lose a few, and then they'll shock a couple of teams, and then they'll start losing again. You know,
they did it. They did it last year, Greg, didn't they? You know, the back end of the season, you know, they put on a couple of good displays and they managed to stay. They managed to stay in Super League again. Very similar to Salford, not really got the strength in depth. It's going to be interesting to see them in terms of for the long game. They've lost. I mean, the bottom line is they've lost to Catalan, and let's be honest about this, a weakened Catalan team. They've lost against. You know,
to lose like that, they were coming back into it, and then that interception try that kills them off. You know, if they score there, that genuinely is game on for Wakefield. But
we've written. I mean, everybody's wrote Wakefield up, but that happens every season, as Martin Sadler said last week. But the bottom line is here, that was a game. As a Wakey fan, you look at all the disruption that Catalan had. Catalan haven't had a really competitive pre-season game. They've gone into that game with a lot of players. You know, the halfback combination decimated. You know. The star forward pulls out just before the game. You know, they've had to move the pack around a little bit, and they've lost. And as much as it was competitive, 20 points to 18 before Davis went in for his 2 tries, the bottom line is they have lost by a decent margin at home, and they have.
I mean, that's the caveat that I would put in for. You've got to say it for Wakey, and I would also say it for Leigh. You know, for the teams that are likely to be scrapping relegation, you really need to be winning your home games. You know, that's where you build it from. And you know, and I know, Wakey are most people's favourites to go down. Having said that, looking at the Leigh squad, they've got some fantastic players, but if injuries and suspensions bite, then they could find themselves in a similar position. Personally, I think you know, they've got to start winning home games, definitely.
Let's give a couple of absolutely. I completely agree with you, Ian. Let's give a couple of shout-outs. Got them all coming in. Paul Bourban, Lisa Connolly, Steve Wilson, Tracy Wilson, all's on the way. Victoria James, Chris Young, Elliot Davis. Let us know your thoughts on these games in the chat as we go through it. We now move on to the game that was aired on Channel 4 on Saturday. Nearly 500,000 viewers tuned in. Brilliant for the game on Channel 4 free-to-air as Hull KR took on the Wigan Warriors. And everybody, the fans forum, Gary Schofield, yourself, Greg, me, none of us backed Hull KR for this game. And, you know, all credit to Hull KR. They were superb on the day.
It was a real great performance. I was really kind of surprised, but pleased for them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ian.
Wigan will be really disappointed.
I'll be honest that last year they started with this fixture, and I thought Wigan on that day showed the way why Hull KR were going to struggle last season, because they just simply did their aging backline for pace, and I expected them to do the same again on Saturday, and obviously they haven't been able to do that. You know, and you know, great for Rovers, good on them, because you know at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm a Hull FC supporter. I'm also a rugby league journalist, and I love to see both sides of Hull doing well, and I would love to see that return to those glory days when, in the early 80s, when Hull and Rovers almost decided between them who won which trophy, didn't they? You know,
and great days for the city back then.
We're going back now.
We're back a long way.
We're going back now. But in terms of, I mean, look, we didn't comment.
That was a great try, by the way.
Marshall's was, and actually Lachlan Coote's pass I thought was sensational for Ryan Hall's try as well. Mm-hmm. That was really good. And of course, you know, we mustn't forget, you know, Wigan then led in this game, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because you know, last year one of the best goal kickers in Super League was Harry Smith. He had a shocker with his boot on Saturday, and Jay Field there as well. Jay Field, how did he get Man of Steel points? He's like
Jay Field did.
He got one of the worst performances that he's ever put in a Wigan shirt, and he got given points, and you're like, what on what planet gives Jay Field points for this guy? I don't get it. I really don't get it at all. No. Abdul, Sean Kenny Dowell,
Mickey Lewis,
Mikey Lewis, Kane Lynette. You know,
yeah.
we could go on and on and on and on in terms of all the different players that you could have given it to. This was a good try. You know, Kenny Dowell, outstanding. Used his haul as the decoy. Beautiful.
That's a great
absolutely
try.
Beautiful. It's a lovely try. Lovely centres try that. And Kenny Dowell was on, wasn't he? He was absolutely on it on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, sorry, go on, Ian.
He went out onto the wing, didn't he? Because Ryan Hall went off, and Sean Kenny Dowell went onto the wing and completed a hat trick. And he's playing against, we're going to two of, if not the two fastest wingers in Super League, and he's a 30-something-year-old centre playing on the wing, and look at the job he's done on them.
Yeah, he didn't have to do much. It's not like he went 50 yards. But I'll tell you what, one of his tries that's coming up in a minute, where he steps back inside, was beautiful. I don't know if it's this one, where it's absolutely beautiful. Where he's on the wing, he gets the ball, and it's like Lynette's try that.
I mean,
but it's coming up in a moment.
Lynette.
That's Lynette's, yeah. But it's coming up in a minute. It's coming up in a minute. It's a cracking try where, at the end of the day, he gets the ball right on the touchline, and he stepped back inside. He's beautiful. Absolutely. Is this it? Yeah, there. Beautiful. That's a lot. When you can see he's 34 years of age, that is some step from a 34 years of age centre. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. If you think at this point, if Wigan had got the goals, it would have still been 19-18.
Exactly. Harry Smith's boot.
So the goal kicking has cost him in that. At the end of the day, I think. At what spot the mile forward pass here? This was incredible. This pass was so
this last one from Marshall.
Look at that! My word!
It was a good try. I mean, there's a lot of good long range tries this weekend. That was one of them.
Well, that was a mile forward, that pass.
Mm-hmm. But you've nailed it.
Yeah.
You've absolutely nailed it, mate. In the fact that I don't want to be too harsh on Harry Smith. Harry Smith was one of the best goal kickers in Super League last year for conversion percentage, and he was. But for whatever reason on Saturday, he left his kicking boots at home.
Having said that, Hull KR is a strange ground because the wind doesn't half whip round there.
True. Yeah, true.
That up with the closed stands and the open end, that the wind can cause havoc.
Yeah. I mean, before that Colin Hutton stand got built, it was Craven Park was just a wind tunnel.
Yes.
Because it's so close to the sea as well.
Yeah.
When they built that Colin Hutton stand, that's an improvement, but that just makes the wind swell around more rather than it just blowing straight through.
Yeah, so not an excuse, but it could be a reason why his kicking was off the boil.
Maybe. But Steve Wilson's in. Our mate Steve. It pains him to say that he thought Rovers were very good in the game. Good lad, Steve. Good lad. Nothing like a bit of honesty. But 27-18, brilliant performance from Hull KR. Wigan, I think they'll be very happy they got Wakefield this week. We'll get to that later. But well done to Hull KR. Really entertaining game. Very, very well played. We then go, of course, to Hull FC against Castleford Tigers.
Game of the weekend.
Without question. So, Ian, as a Hull FC fan, give us your assessment of this first half from Hull.
First half, excellent. Very good. They played like a Tony Smith side. They were flinging the ball around. They were attractive to watch. They were very easy on the eye. And frankly, they've got two new players in there now who are, as I alluded to earlier, they are different gravy altogether in Tex Hoy and Jake Clifford. And the first half, they were they were fantastic in attack, but they didn't have to defend very much, thankfully.
No. The Leeds combination there, Dwyer and Sutcliffe going through, that must have pained the Rhinos fans.
That's what I thought.
We like Dwyer. We like Brad Dwyer here. I think he's a good player, Brad Dwyer. He could win games on his own, Brad Dwyer.
Good pass from Evans there.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Dwyer is the sort of player we've been screaming out for years, because Danny Houghton is superb. We know that. He's a former Man of Steel, etc. But Hull needed to get somebody in that could do something different, and they've got it in Joe Lovadua, but he's still finding his way to an extent, whereas Brad Dwyer, he's been around for a few years. You guys will obviously be very aware of him. Yeah. And he was quality on Sunday, certainly.
The thing about
Just need
Warrington,
to say
was,
there, Grant,
I don't think we
just need
got
to
Brad
say
Dwyer.
that that is not that is
Sorry.
no that just saying that wasn't a replay, and that will really upset Radford. The two Swift tries were identical.
Yeah.
Absolutely identical, and Radford will be livid. You know, having allowed that run around from the scrum to happen once, for it to happen twice was criminal.
Yeah. I mean, I was in his press conference afterwards, and he came in, he was bouncing, he seemed quite happy. But you know, when he talked about, you know, how Adam Swift got in for 2 tries like that, he, you know, you could tell he wasn't a happy bunny about it. Certainly, it was just, you know, and it was off basically the same move, like you say, and it was just
carbon copies,
you know,
really.
There was no difference in them, mate. How did Joe Kenny Edwards there, one of our normal viewers there? Good evening, Kenny, if you're with us. But how did Joe Cater go?
Joe, he was all right. You know, he was getting in the mix. He was getting involved. He was
wow.
Yeah. that was
Sorry,
some pass. That's fine.
That Miller pass was superb. Miller pass was superb.
Yeah.
So go on, carry on with Kate.
Yeah, Joe Cater, you know, he came back. He came back from these horrendous injuries. Obviously, you know, when we played Sheffield and in pre-season, and they said, you know, and he had a grin about him, and you know that grin on Sunday was, you know, it was one of the widest grins I've ever seen. You know, he was just happy to be there, and he was happy to be playing. You know, and he got involved, and he had a decent game. Definitely, he was putting himself about plenty. Certainly.
Yeah, he's a great player. We like him here, and we just hope he can stay injury free because you know he's an international player.
100%. He's got Cater's got a massive future ahead of him, but no, I mean, look, you know, whole first half I'm led to believe outstanding, absolutely outstanding. Second half, you know, we talked last week about their mental fragility in terms of maybe just not seeing a game through. We saw Warrington seeing a game through. Had Hull done the same against Cass, then, you know, we'd probably be talking waxing lyrical. But there's a massive question mark there over there. Can they go for 80 minutes?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing was, talking to Tony Smith afterwards in his press conference, and I asked him, you know, was a lot of that Castleford comeback, was that because it was a typical first game of the season when players are making mistakes that they're not going to make further down the line? And he said, absolutely, yes. You know, he said, you know, he'd said already that the players are underdone. None of them had played for 80 minutes until Sunday. And, you know, you saw that.
Yeah, but that's the same. It's the same for both sides. And I mean, what I would say is, I mean, you know, again, I wasn't there. From the outside looking in, I think it's a tale of two halves, isn't it? And I think that, you know, as well as Hull played in that first half, and Andy and Sue, who are massive Castle fans who watch us every week, they're not panicking. Said they were Castle woeful for 60 minutes, but then came back and only lost away by 2. So something for Cass to build on. Hull, something for them to build on in terms of the first half performance. Elliot Davis, I think he might be a Wigan fan. He said that Wigan were short of a couple of forwards, 2 quota spots, can't get in the 17, and 1 quota spot on the bench. Well, yeah, but bottom line is,
I agree 100% with that. The pack looked the pack looked like our pack
wasn't made. The pack that's as good as I think Wigan could be. The pack could haunt them this season. It really could. You know, because against the big sides, the big packs, they might come under a bit of pressure. And Tracy, the game that you all said we wouldn't take anything from might have been too close, but 2 points is 2 points. She's right, absolutely right. You know, we, you know, it's all about 2 points at this point of the season, and it is. You know, getting that win, getting that momentum going. Hull have done that, and we'll get to predictions on Leeds in a minute. But interesting to get your take on Hull. You were there. We'll close. Tex Hoy. 3 Man of Steel points, 3 Albert Goldthorpe medals points. He was an unknown quantity. You've seen him at close quarters. How excited are you as a Hull fan? Jake Clifford, Tex Hoy, the combination.
Extremely excited. Jake Clifford is obviously the one player that Tony Smith signed.
Correct.
Tex Hoy, that was business done before Tony Smith was taken on. But a lot of people will compare Tex Hoy to Jai Field for particularly for his pace, because he's got pace to burn. However, I don't want to see comparisons like that, because he's a very different player to Jai Field, because his sense of positioning was excellent and his distribution. He's another halfback on the pitch, and him and
good fullbacks are though now, aren't they? Because you look at Koo, you look at Max Jowett, Tex Hoy. You know, we could go right the way through Super League. You know, once we're in the attacking phase, fullbacks now are that type of player.
I mean, Tex Hoy, he's just the great thing for us is that him and Jake Clifford, they were best buddies back at Newcastle Knights. You know, they know each other inside out. They know the combination, how the combinations work for them, and it's just about building it around them too. But Tex Hoy, he was just quality on Sunday. He was absolutely man of the match.
Well, we're going to look forward. Well, Ian, we're going to look forward to seeing him live on Sky on Friday, and I, for one, am really looking forward to that game on Friday.
I'm really looking forward to
take a look at Hull, you know, because I think, you know, we've seen Leeds live. You know, to go and see Hull for 8 minutes is going to be exciting without question. Tracy Wilson, she said, watch out for Hull. She's excited. She thinks Clifford and Tex Hoy, when they settle down, are going to be great. They weren't too bad at the weekend, Tracy. To be fair. To be fair, right? Let's take a look at the league. It's, you know, just for sheer joy,
just for the joy of it.
Let's
gee, our Warrington top.
Oh, stop the season now.
Stop it now. Leeds relegated, Warrington champions. Beautiful. But no, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's early days, but I mean, you know, decent point difference there for Warrington, 32. And I think what's really good is the fact that, with the exception of the Warrington game, they were tight games. I mean, 14 points in a Super League game. It's not massive, you know, Dragons and Wakefield. You know, it's a tight-looking league, and it's good to see. Right, Greg, my friend, you know what's coming next? You know, it's even the week time. Ian, if you could, Ian, go on mute, take your video off, and we'll come back on after this next video. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in 2023, it's the Super League Raw Team of the Week. Enjoy. Here it comes. It's the Super League Raw Team of the Week for round number 1 of the 2023 season. Here we go again, and at fullback, it will be Mr. Ryan Braley of the Salford Red Devils. A fine try, but more importantly, 2 brilliant try-saving tackles, making sure the Salford Red Devils went away from the Leigh Sports Village with the 2 points, picking up where he left off from 2022. One to watch, Ryan Braley. At number 2, it will be Darnell McIntosh. As with Adam Swift, a fine performance for Hull FC. 2 good tries, linking up really well with the new halfback combination, as well as Mr. Tex Hoy. He was superb throughout the game. Plenty of meters, plenty of carries, well played. And number 3, it's Liam Sutcliffe, former Leeds Rhino player. How good they could have done with him in the centres at Halliwell Jones. A fine try, but more importantly, a try-saving tackle on Jordan Turner late in the game when Casford looked to be winning the match. Mr. Sutcliffe making sure that the Black and Whites got home. And number 4, it's Sean Kenny Dowell, the captain, fantastic for the Robins, and he didn't disappoint, did he? 3 tries in this game, his first Super League hat-trick. Some superb play on that left edge. Mr. Dowell in good form. And number 5, Tom Johnson, the former Wakefield man, returned to haunt his former employers. How much they would miss him on the wing. Well, you could see it in this game. 3 brilliant tries, all different executions, showing his full repertoire. Well done. And number 6, on debut, Adam Kieran. We said last week he can play anywhere across the 3 quarters or in the half backs. It was in the halves that he played in this game against Wakefield, and he did superbly. 2 assists, 5 goals. He was instrumental. And number 7, it will be Jake Clifford, a man who has been touted as Man of Steel, and actually not a bad debut. 1 assist, plenty of good kicks in this game, showing what we may be able to see as a Man of Steel in waiting for 2023. Time will tell. And number 8, it will be Sam Cassiano. What a signing for the Warrington Wolves. Just what they needed going into the new season. A brand new pack, and by Lord, does he pack a punch off the bench. Could have even easily had 2 tries, couldn't he? Fantastic display from Mr. Cassiano. We expect more as the season unfolds. And again, a player that Leeds allowed to let go, and the Leeds fans were furious on Twitter after the game against the Warrington Wolves. A great assist, showing what he can do from dummy half. What a signing for Hull FC. And number 10, Paul Vaughan. The whole of Super League has stood up and took note of this import from the NRL. A majestic display. Minutes on the pitch, meters, what a player. We can't wait to see him go up against Alex Walmsley. At number 11, it will be James Batchelor, again, another former Wakefield player, finding his way in the first of our Team of the Weeks for 2023. 2 brilliant assists against the Wigan Warriors, showing why he is one to watch this season. At number 12, again, picking up from where he left off in 2022, is Callum Watkins, the new Salford Red Devils skipper. A fine try on the right edge, really helped his team in this game. He is a handful in the second row. Well played, Mr. Harrison, yes, he may have number 8 and he's bad, but he played loose forward this week and keeping out Oliver Partington. He was just like Vaughan, plenty of meters, plenty of carries, really good in defence. Mr. Harrison, superb. This is your Team of the Week for round number 1. So the Team of the Week for round number 1, there it is in the books for this round 1. Greg, your take on that? About right?
I can't argue with a single one of those.
Yeah,
I really can't. I know Harrison, was it Sky Sports that gave him prop? So it's in the Team of the Week at prop.
Prop, yeah. And you played it loose forward, and you know, unbelievable. Like you say, his attention to detail, innit? And unfortunately, they lack attention to detail. But yeah, you know, Harrison, I felt, you know, on any other day, he's man of the match. You know,
he was man of the match in the ground. I don't know who the sponsors were watching.
He was superb.
He was man of the match in the ground. He did push Vaughan all the way. I think he played more. I'm right in saying he played more minutes than Vaughan.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, as loose forward, you would expect that. But yeah,
tackle more as well. It weren't just his goal forward; it was his tackling as well.
Yeah.
Harrison, you know, fantasy league team. If Harrison's not in your fantasy league team, he might be a little bit of a sign. The only problem is he's prop. If it have been given, which is what he's down as, he's number 8, of course. But yeah, what a player, what a performance at the weekend. Obviously, 3 Hull lads in there. Really keeping out Texor. You'll probably have a view on that.
There's 4 in there, Dave.
4.
Say that again.
Clifford and Dwyer.
Clifford and Dwyer.
4. There's 4.
4 of them, yeah. Got 4 in there, mate. Yeah, but I'd expect that you're a bit disappointed that Mr. Hoy isn't at full back.
Well, I can understand why you put Ryan Brierley there. I think, you know, he was superb for Salford, and I think you're right. He should have won. He should have got the Man of Steel points instead of Brodie Croft. But you know, Tex Hoy, he'll have his time. He'll have his time, I would imagine. And
I'm sure he will feature in our Team of the Week as the year goes on. And again, you know, it says a lot. I mean, Warrington were rampant in that game, and we often get a lot of, especially on YouTube for some reason, we tend to get a couple of people a bit annoyed in terms of our picks. But look, Warrington was sensational. Only 3 Warrington players made our Team of the Week, and there could be an argument there for the likes of Ben Curry, another one who ran the second row as close, etc. But look, we call it straight. For us, those were they were the players that really made the running this week. Congratulations to each and every one of them.
The thing is, Dave, statistics don't lie. So
statistics don't lie. They don't lie. Well, Greg, a little bit of mood music here for you, Greg. A little bit of mood music. We'll cut that out. We'll cut that out. Anyway, the prediction.
Skip this bit.
We're going to go into the predictions. We're going to go into the predictions now for round number 2. But this is where we stand. Last week, Gary Schofield picking up 11 points. We're going up against Gary as well this season. He leads the prediction league after round 1. Then the fans forum with 9 points. I come in with 6. And Greg, matey, whoa, you must be absolutely devastated. Only 2 points.
Mate, I am the Leeds of prediction league.
Well, there you go. Everybody's going to... If you back somebody's team during this next segment, mate, they're going to be putting their hands over their head. Anyway, let's just quickly go back.
I am the Phil Clark of.
Absolutely, yeah. Alex Sharp, our Leeds fan, he felt that George Williams was in with a shout at half.
He was very good.
He was good. There's no doubt about that. Steve Wilson. Also giving plaudits to Warrington, and Alex Sharp, as I say, a Leeds fan, he is not looking forward to Friday night, is what he said. Right, it's time for you guys on the chat to get involved. Let us know your predictions as we go through round number 2, starting off on Thursday night. This little cheeky one, the Salford Red Devils taking on the Hull KR, the Robins themselves, both teams winning in round number 2. Let me just quickly bring you both up to speed with potential absentees in this game. Still no Dan Sargentson for Salford, Danny Addy also, and Ryan Lyon. Lannan, and Adam Sidlow also expected not to play, but they didn't play at the weekend, so it doesn't really matter. Pretty much they're going to go again, with the exception. No, that's it. No, they're fine. For Hull KR, not as good. Iden's still out. Harvey Moore still out. Reece Kennedy obviously will be out on concussion protocols. Ryan Hall is doubtful, but announced today Lachlan Coote is going to miss at least 1, maybe 2 weeks at full back with a hamstring problem.
Yeah,
he's hurt his hamstring. So that's how they go into this game. Two very easy on the eye teams. Both with a win in the win column. Salford, of course, at home. Just to bring you up to speed, gentlemen, with where we are before we go into it. Everybody, myself, the fans forum, and Gary Schofield have gone 9-17. The Salford Red Devils. They'll win between 9 to 17 points. Greg, how do you see this game on Thursday night?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Salford. Hull KR, I think there's some crucial players who are missing. They did exceptionally well against Wigan. I don't think anybody saw that performance coming, and congratulations to KR. Those players missing, Coote, Hall, a couple of the others, I think that Salford will probably have a little bit too much of them. I'm going 9-17 as well, Salford.
So there's going to be no real moving on the ladder there. We've all gone exactly the same way. Ian, how do you see this one?
I think it's a Salford win, and I think it is probably 9-17, because I think missing Ryan Hall and missing Lachlan Coote really hurts Rovers. I'm struggling to see where they're going to bring in people who can do the same sort of job as they do for them. Lachlan Coote is their last line of defence. I would imagine someone
That's
like
the big one.
might be getting a call, but
yeah,
with Salford at home, on a Thursday night, it's a long trip over on a Thursday night, and to be minus the sort of quality that they're missing, as a result of that, their confidence is going to be sky high after beating Wigan, but I can't see anything beyond Salford by 9-17, really.
Fair play.
Yeah,
Fair play. The only thing I would say, Greg, on this one is that obviously they've got young senior, haven't they, who can deputise for Hall.
Yeah, and they've still got Abdul and Mickey Lewis and Kenny Dow, Lynette. They are class players, quality players.
Yeah.
I just think that they are missing a little bit too much quality, as Ian says. There's just that little bit too much quality that I think it's probably going to be close for 50, 60 minutes, but then I think Salford will kind of come out on top last 20 minutes, I think.
Well, everybody on the chat are going the same way. Andy and Sue, Devils by 10. Tracy Wilson, Salford by 6. Freddie McGilvery, 8 to Salford. Steve Wilson, 8 to Salford. And my mate Sam, little Sam, he's going 28-12 to Salford. Hey, there's an intelligent young man.
You get that right, Sam. I want the lottery numbers on Saturday.
He's a good lad, that lad. And everybody's going the way of Salford. Right, so Salford, 9-17 across the board. No moving and shaking in the prediction league, no matter what there. So let's move on to the next game. Friday night, here it is. Alex, look away now, Mr. Sharp. It is the Leeds Rhinos taking on Hull FC. Let's go through who is going to be missing. Harry Newman, still out. Nina McDonald, still out. Aletsky, still out. And Bentley, still out. Good news if you're a Hull fan. For Hull, consider who Hull's still got to come back. Truman, Connor Wynne, Metelli's not there. Shaw, Carlos Tamavari, still to come back in the centres. Savelio, who had a decent year from last year. So plenty of players still to come back, but they're not going to be included in this game. Pretty much Hull are as they were on the weekend. We've already heard from Alex Sharp, a Leeds fan. He's not looking forward to this. As for where we are on this one, actually, no surprises from me. I'm going Hull 18+. The fans forum saying Hull 9-17. Gary Schofield saying Hull 9-17. So me going bigger for Hull, I'm going 18+ based on what I saw at Warrington and potentially what Hull've got in attack. Greg, what do you think?
I can't see Leeds playing as bad again.
Okay.
And I think Hull will have had a massive wake-up call from that second half.
Yeah.
I think Tony Smith he won't put up with another performance like that second half, and I don't think, knowing Tony Smith as we do at Warrington, He'll have read the right. He'll have read the right attack this week, and I can see a 9-17 win for Hull. I'm not going bigger than that because I don't think Leeds can play as bad as they did, and I don't think they will. And I think Hull will have had the right acts, as I say, and I think 9-17 Hull.
Super. No doubt where Ian's going, it's going to be to a shirt that's got the colours black and white on it, or potentially blue. But what's going on?
I don't think we'll wear the blue at Leeds.
No, I don't think you are. No. But go on, it's certainly going to be black and white. But what margin are you giving him, Ian?
Well, I've already put it on the forum. I think Hull, and I've predicted a score of 30 points to 12 to Hull.
Right, so you're going 18
plus.
You're going 18 plus. Well, again, going back into the chat, Alex Sharp, after watching the second half, he thinks Hull FC by a try. Steve Wilson going Hull 9-17. Kobe McGilvey. Kobe, are you in relation to Freddie? Put it in the chat. Are you a relation to Freddie? He's actually going Leeds by 8. That's brave, that is. Freddie McGilvey, he's going Hull by 12 plus. But yeah, everybody, with the exception of Kobe, looking as if Hull could go 4 from 4 points. Right, we then move on to the Wigan game, and well, basically, it again is as you were, with the exception of Liam Hood for Wakefield. He's doubtful for this game. Thornley still out, of course. Ryan Hampshire still out, and Patrick Mago a doubt, but of course he didn't feature, I don't think, at the weekend, as I recall. Wigan will be absolutely bruised by what happened at Hull KR. They're at home, big crowd. Rosala, everybody's free to feel good at the Wigan Stadium this Friday night.
I might just go down there just to watch Rosala.
Get the glow sticks out. Come on, a bit of Rosala, fantastic. But yeah, Wigan, look, no surprises here across the board. Fans Forum, Gary Schofield and me, we feel that Wakefield are gonna basically bear the brunt of that bad start to the season. 18 plus is what we're all going. Greg, what are you going?
Such a bad time to play Wigan. It really is, and I can only see an 18 plus win for Wigan. I think I said that for them on Saturday. I don't think they're going to let me down this weekend. I think 18 plus.
You're going Wigan 18 plus. 18 Ian, plus. How do you see it?
I see Wigan scoring 40 against
40 points.
Yeah.
40 points. Well, everybody's saying
even more, but
everybody's saying the same thing. Steve Wilson, 18 plus for Wigan, they'll bounce back. My mate Sam, being a bit, he's very precise, is our Sam. I do like our Sam. He's saying Wigan 24, Wakefield 12. I think it'll be a bit bigger than that, Sam. But do you know what? As Greg said, if you're right,
lottery numbers, please, Sam. On Saturday
lottery numbers, and you can come on next week. Right. In fact, just to give Sam his due, just to let you know, Ian, Sam is literally 9 years of age. He plays with my son at rugby, but he watches us every week. God bless him. He actually thinks it'll be Leeds 4, Hull 38. Very precise.
I'll take that.
incredibly precise is our
Let
Sam.
me write that down. And I tell you what, Sam, I definitely want your predictions for lottery numbers if you get those two right.
If he gets them right, absolutely. What a top lad. Right. We're now going to have a little musical interlude because we've got to do a little bit of this. It's a new season with new things on the card. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do a bit of this. So there you go. Our game of the week for round number 2 will be at the the John Smith Stadium, the Huddersfield Giants taking on the Warrington Wolves. Massive game. There was a thriller there at the back end of last season. Freddie McGilvey cannot contain his excitement. He's putting emojis in the chat. He's that happy down here. It's unbelievable. He's expecting a cracking game. This should be a belter. Warrington, of course, will be missing Josh Maguire, Gil Dudson, of course, Matty Nicholson with that shoulder dislocation, which is a real shame. Philbin, not expected to be back until around 4 or 5, and of course, Connor Red down the line, probably around May time when he's back. Just Jake Connor out for Huddersfield. They go into this with a pretty clean bill of health. So new centre partnership, Nagama there who's on the screen. And of course, Essen Masters will be involved in that, as well as the other players that have come in at Huddersfield this year. Huddersfield coming in cold. Yes, they've had a couple of practice games. They've had an extra week off. Warrington coming in with that feel-good factor from the Leeds game. This is going to be a real interesting match. I'm going to let my heart rule it. I think it could go either way. This is one of those games, who turns up on the night. I'm going to go Wire solely because they were really good against Leeds. They should have confidence going into this game off the back of that. And hopefully it's a good time to play Huddersfield in the fact that it's their first run out and it's Warrington second. No surprises, I'm going Warrington 9-17, but so too are the Fans Forum and Gary Schofield. They're also going Wire 9-17. So interesting, really interesting. Get in the chat. What's your thoughts on this, Greg? Should be a belter. It's a shame
I'm going to let Ian go. I'm going to let Ian go first on this.
Ian, where do you see?
I'm going to be a gentleman and let Ian go first.
Ian, go on then. Where are you seeing this one?
Thank you very much, Greg.
Hey, no problem, mate. I'm still making my mind up.
Right. Well, I think I'm going to please you both. I'm going to say Wire are going to win this. I think I've put it as I know you can't get lottery numbers off me, but I think I've put Wire to win 24-16, so 1-8.
1-8 for you, right? Well, in the chat, Greg, don't know if this helps you, but our mate Sam, Wire 48. I'd set that one. Steve Wilson says this will be a cracker of a game. I agree. Get yourselves down to the John Smith Stadium, Huddersfield, Warrington fans. I'm working. It's a shame. If it wasn't, I will be absolutely I will be 100% going to this game if I weren't working on Friday night. Yeah. It should be a belter. Freddie McGilvey, Giants by a drop goal. Is Freddie's pick here? That
would not surprise me, you know.
And Steve Wilson, because how good Warrington looked in that opening game, he's going Wire 1-8. So there you go. Oh, hang on, Kobe McGilvey, he's going Giants by 10. So again, depending on which side of the Pennines you're on, you know, certainly may affect which way you see this going. Greg, are you going with everybody, or are you putting a different slant on this one?
It all depends on two things. Who is Powell going to play at second row for Warrington? Is he going to put Harrison in the second row and Clark at loose forward with Walker at hooker like he did in the second half?
Yeah, and worked really well.
Is he going to put Matauti in the second row and bring Massey Russell in, which I hope he doesn't really, to be honest.
Could be Minikin in though. I mean, I could put Minikin at centre. I'd like to see him put like somebody like Holroyd in at second row.
I would.
You know what I mean? Give one of the kids a go. I'd like to see that.
It depends on who's going to. And for all the recruitment we have done in the off season, we're really light at second row, which is surprising. Jake Connor's a big factor. This is the other thing. Jake Connor missing is a big factor. They are cold. They've not had a game. We've had a big hit up against Leeds. As poor as Leeds were, it is still 80 minutes of
competitive
rugby league. And I'm going Warrington. And I'm going 18 plus.
Ooh, that's a big shout. Big shout. Big shout from the man who scored 2 points.
Bottom of the league.
It's a huge shout.
So that's Huddersfield putting 60 past us.
Superb.
18 plus, simply because I think we'll have too much pace and too much power down the middle. Yeah. Huddersfield have got a bit of an ageing pack.
Absolutely. Well,
too much pace out wide.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a fascinating game. I mean, last year's was.
Why is this not on TV? I was convinced it was on TV.
Well, exactly. I mean, it really right from the, especially with the acquisitions that both teams have made. I think it have made a great spectacle.
I was convinced that I'm at college on Friday night. I was convinced I'd be getting the train back, pick a few beers up, sit down and watch the game back.
Well, you are going to watch the game. It's just going to be Leeds against Hull, my friend. It's just going to be Leeds against Hull. But in terms of Sam, don't forget,
to cover the uncle against the nephew, don't they?
That's true. That is true. But they'll do absolutely no promotion this week. But that's another story. Tina, don't forget Sam Wrench's out, mate, with an ACL. He's not going to be back until May, my friend. So they can't put him in there. But Steve said that he saw Jake Connor down at the Hull game on Sunday, which is interesting. But I don't think he was there. Yeah, so that's interesting.
He was also at the Sheffield pre-season game as well.
Oh, well, there you go. Good to see him watching a bit of rugby league. Fantastic. Right. Lee travel to the Catalan Dragons this Saturday. Shame it's not on TV. I don't think the deal was done in time with the distributors. But for obviously for Catalan, they're still going to be without Fuad Jahar, Mike McMeekin, Sam Tompkins, and Tyrone May. So it's as you were. But Mitchell Pearce is also a doubt as well with his calf, we're led to believe. And Lee are very much as you were. So no real changes. These two teams are going to go up against each other. In terms of where we all sit, I'm going Catalan 9-17, but the Forum and Gary Schofield are going Catalan 18 plus. I think Lee will be more competitive than that. I think Lee I do think Catalan will win, obviously, but I think they'll keep him within a 9-17 scoreline. He's in again. I'm going to give him his head. Here's our Sam, Mystic Sam. He's on again. He's saying Catalan 24. Get ready for this. Catalan 24. Lee Leopards 36. He's definitely doing my lottery ticket if he's right on that one. Good lad, Sam. Good lad. Freddie McGilvery, Catalan by 10 plus. Steve Wilson, Catalan 9-17. Lot of love for Catalan, but Sam is going Lee, which is really interesting. Ian, where do you see this one? Why Greg gets his thoughts together?
I know what I'm going to go. Sorry, Ian, go on.
Right. I'm going Catalan 9-17 as well. I just, it's a long, arduous trip for Lee Leopards, isn't it? And that we don't know what's the psychological effects of getting beat the way that they did against Salford. I don't see them going and turning Catalan over at home. I don't see it happening.
Fair enough, but nobody saw Toulouse beating St. Helens last year, my friend. Who knows? Sam might know something on the inside. Sam.
Well, then again, that was St. Helens having that long trip to the south of France, wasn't it?
I'm telling you now, if Sam is right, if Sam at 9 years of age is right, he's coming on next week. I'm telling you to pick that one out. Lee 36.
If Sam's right.
36-24.
Sam's
he's
right.
Coming on.
The Warrington job.
Yeah, he's coming on. He's coming on. It'll be Super League Raw weekly. Junior,
do you know what I think? Do you know what I think? I think we should give Sam a job where he hands over the trophy at Old Trafford in October.
Oh, how good would that be? He'd love that with our Sam. He'd love that. He's a top lad. He's a top kid. He really is. But he's a cracking lad. Greg, where are you going, mate?
Lee 1-8.
Ooh, he's going Lee.
Got to play.
Lee.
I've got to go big at this early stage. This is how bad it is. I've got to go big.
It's a big shout. It's a big shout.
I think Lee are going to pull a surprise off. I think there's going to be a surprise every round.
Yeah.
And I think this is the surprise.
You think Lee will go over there and do him?
I do. I've got just one of those.
Do you know what, mate? I mean, even again, we saw him. We saw him in the Ben Curry testimony. We saw him again on Friday night. I really like the look of Lachlan Lamb. I think there's something about that lad. There really is something about that lad. Ipape at the moment, he's coming off the bench. I think, again, Adrian Lamb has been very sensible there. There's been a lot of pressure put on him early doors in terms of performance. But I think there's no question there's quality there.
Yeah.
We know Ardacre. Ardaker's a quality fullback, isn't he? There's strike in that team. There's absolute strike in that team. So, weirder things have happened, Greg. Weirder things have happened.
That pitch at Wakefield has done some damage.
Yeah. There's a bit of that, and like I say, it's going to be a really interesting match. That I do think Catalan on home soil.
Catalan will probably put 70 past them, but hey,
possibly.
I just get this feeling.
Mate,
I just get this feeling that Lee are going to cause an upset.
Yeah, and again, Steve Wilson there makes a point in the chat. He said he thought Lee looked tired in the second half, and we said this when we reviewed the Leeds squad. If those seasoned pros go there with the right attitude, they will be competitive. If they go there for the payday, then of course Lee will not perform.
What a shame! What a shame! Blake Ferguson decided to call it a day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That would have been box office.
Can I just say, Lee don't deserve to go and win at Catalan for that shirt.
Oh, come on. Come on. It's growing on you. It's growing on you.
You should make Catalan have a big dragon on the front of theirs.
I tell you what, mate. I tell you what, though, it's the scariest mascot in Super League. That is a proper. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Anyway.
I must admit, I love Derek Beaumont's jacket. That was class.
Quality. He's a character.
There's a guy who looked like Huggy Bear in the crowd as well. Did you see it?
I know, yeah. He was brilliant. I know, but his hair done as well. Yeah, brilliant.
I was like, Darcy, don't you going to turn up at one point?
Yeah. Hey, if anybody knows him, by the way, let us know. We'll get him on for 10 minutes. No dramas. Remember when we got the Warrington Dancer on? That was
brilliant.
Jamie, was it Jamie McGuinness? McGuinness.
We
reviewed his dance moves. That was brilliant, wasn't it? That was a cracking episode.
Oh, yeah, if you've got a catchy little dance move, let us see it.
Yeah, let's see it. Yeah, if anybody knows that gentleman, then by all means, tip us the wing. Right, we come then to the final game. Again, fantastic. It is on Channel 4. Castleford taking on the newly crowned World Club champions, St Helens. What team will St Helens pick? The jet lag, all the rest of it needs to be factored in here, of course. In terms of who's missing, Liam Watts will be out with concussion protocol. Danny Richardson, of course, pretty much going to miss the season with an ACL. As for St Helens, no Joe Batchelor. So Sione Matautia probably will remain in the second row with Sirenen if they go full strength. And, of course, Tommy Makerson can't play because he's also out with concussion protocol. So this is really interesting. As for where we've all gone, I've gone Cass. I've gone Cass 9-17 for the pure reason that I think St Helens mentally and physically will be shattered. I could be wrong. Typical of the champions, they'll go and turn Cass over. But I do think there could be a lot weighing on them going into this game. Had it been a home game, but of course it's not. In terms of the fans' form, they're seeing it as Cass 1-8, and Gary Schofield sees it as Cass 9-17. Ian, where do you see it?
I'm going to go Cass 1-8.
1-8. You're going with the fans forum.
I remember a few years ago, Hull FC, we went to Australia, came back, and a week later played at Castleford and got beat. And I think St Helens will go pretty much the same way, frankly.
Fair play, Greg.
Yeah, I think it depends how hard they've celebrated as well. Jet lag is a big factor. The celebration's a big factor. The mental exhaustion, the emotion. I'm going Saints 1-8.
Well, there you go. But to be fair to you, mate, to be fair to you, I see what you're doing there. In terms of the chat, Steve Wilson's going Saints 9-17. Kobe McGilvey, Saints by 18+. That's bold, I think. Not necessarily the Saints, but I think 18+ is a bit bold. Daniel Hackett, Cass by 10. Freddie McGilvey saying Saints by 10+. Tracy Wilson seeing it as Saints 17+. Bruised and Seething, Cass at home wins by 7. That's Andy and Sue. So again, Sam is saying Cass 6, Saints 34.
Wow.
Right.
He likes number 34, Sam.
Yeah, fair play. He's got a lot of value, this boy, I'll tell you. He's got a lot, I'll tell you, he better be close on some of these, or I'm going to rib him big time.
Tell you what, he's on next. If he gets any of those right, he's on next week.
Anyway, fantastic. Look, as always, as we say every week, we are not here to make money. We're here because we promote the wonderful game that is rugby league. Get to a ground. The attendances last week were absolutely sensational, of course. Let's do it again. Let's get these grounds full. Let's make sure that we celebrate this fantastic product of ours, which is rugby league. Really looking forward to the action unfolding this weekend. Ian, really appreciate your time and your company. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, cheers, Ian. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot for your insight.
Lovely to meet you. Lovely
Lovely to meet you, and best of luck
as
at
well.
Headingley on Friday. Greg, as always, my friend, absolute pleasure to be in your company. As we did last year, we're going to do this year. We've looked at the top performers, but now let's bring a few more players into the mix. Shall we look at a wider selection of top performers from round number 1? We will see you same time, same place, this time next week on Super League Raw Weekly. Enjoy your rugby league, we do, and let's get to some of those grounds. Take care, folks. See you next week.
See you next week, guys. Enjoy your rugby.
Cheers. Bye.